I recently purchased some awesome new hearts, dies, and stencils, and in this Stretch Your Supplies video, I'm going to show you 8 different cards and ways to use them for unique, colorful cards. Hello and welcome to Karen's Creative Cards on YouTube. I am Karen Heshik, and I freely admit I am a die cut addict. But once I've indulged and purchased new dies and other products, I like to find many ways to use them so that my crafty budget dollars are stretched. One of my favorite new die sets is the Birch Press Kinsley heart plates with 3 different layers to create gorgeous cards like these. So you get 3 different layers in the set, and I'm going to try to show you close enough here. You can see that there's the top layer and then a second layer, and then the third layer I did in different colors of foil. This hello is from Gina Designs, and we just got it as part of a class that I took. I layered it on vellum. So I also embossed the background there, debossed it with a new die. Now all the details on all these cards are going to be on my blog, and there's links to the blog posts in the description box, and of course all the products that I feature. So that was the first card that I made with that new die set. Here is another one that I made, and it does have the light peach, dark peach, and then the aqua glitter over a white card. So you can see those gorgeous layers there. I just couldn't resist that set. But here's one that shows that you can do just 2 layers sometimes. The bottom back there, there's just the card base, and then I did I believe A and B on this one, so you can play around with it. And again, that was just a gorgeous set. I couldn't resist. This is another hearts card I made with a new stencil, and I'm going to show you that stencil in a few minutes. And actually there's 2 stencils. This hearts here, the hands, is another stencil, and I put glitz glitter gel over those. So another fun hearts card that I made recently. Another new favorite die set that I got recently is the Hearts of Love Shaker card die set from Scrappiness, and you get the 3 hearts like that, which you can make shakers with or not, and then you get the 3 plain hearts that does the background on the shaker or underneath it. And actually this little love here is from Karen Berniston, and I'm going to use that on the card that I'm going to make in the video. So this is the first card I made, and it is of course a slimline version, and I chose to make this top heart into a shaker, but the second one is not. And so again, that's a gorgeous set. Here I love to make shakers, and so here's another love card that I made with that largest heart into a shaker. And here's an example where I didn't make it into a shaker. This background here is the Honeybee Debossed Hearts die, and I cut off the top layer and layered it on another of the iridescent red Tonic paper, Tonic Studios paper, for that card. This is the card that I'm going to make from scratch in this video. I recently took a class with Gina of Gina Designs, and she suggested using shades of gray in layered flowered stencils. Now, I never thought to make gray flowers or hearts, but I tried it and I really love the look. I'm also incorporating several favorite technique of mine, which is the eclipse look. It's just a favorite technique that I've used, and I also made the heart and cut that out of the background, so you can see the pattern from the background continues through that heart and through these letters. And I am going to show you how I made this. As I showed you, the heart shaker dies are from Scrappiness, and these alphabet dies are also from Cat Scrappiness, and of course I mentioned that that love is from Karen Berniston. And then I took a couple of the hearts and put them on the inside of the card, and that's the card that I'm going to make in the video with you. I've taken a black card base and cut it 5 3/4 by 11 1/2 and folded it in half for a square card base. I have the Altenew Color Block Hearts stencil taped down on a piece of 6 by 6 white cardstock, and I'm going to use 2 shades of gray to make the hearts. I have the Gina K Soft Stone and the My Favorite Things Gravel Gray, and I marked on my stencil number 1 in the left hand corner, and then we're going to flip it so number 2 will be in the left hand corner, so I always know I'm going the right way. And just going to be adding some light gray ink to all the openings in this stencil. And of course I'm using my favorite Tailored Expressions color-coded blending brushes. And then you're going to take a cloth of some kind and clean that off a little bit. Now lining this up isn't tricky, but you have to be careful, and the first time I did it I thought I had it perfectly and I didn't. So, you know, the first time you do it, play it with on paper that you really don't care about. You are, and I don't know if you can see that, but what you're trying to do is line the bottom of the hearts that you already did with the 2 lines on the part that you already stenciled. So just have to play with a little bit. You want to make sure that you're up to the lines but not over it. What I like to do is just try a couple of them. Now this is a darker gray. And so by doing that, this bottom square gets a little darker because it has both colors on it. But you don't want to get this piece too dark, or otherwise those two look exactly the same. So after I try just a couple of them, I take a peek. If I can lift the stencil up and make sure, I don't know if you can see that or not, but they are lined up good. And I know the first time I thought I had it perfectly and it wasn't. So, you know, it just takes a little playing and a little experimenting, and it's just paper, you know. If we need to do it again, we can do it again, or not. I want the upper part of the heart to be lighter, but the bottom part that's double inked to be darker. So you kind of have 3 different shades. And of course I've done this in pinks and blues, but I did really like the idea of kind of making a masculine version. Skip this line here. Just pressing down a little bit harder when I get to that area that's already been stenciled with the lighter gray. So you kind of get 3 tones. And while we leave that top part on, let's make sure there's nothing I want to add, but there isn't. So you can see we have like a 3-tone gray heart all over, which I think is a really cool look. I had put some temporary tape on the back and with a roller, and I can just wipe that off. And now I'm going to cut this down to a 5.5 inch square, which is basically just taking these sides off. You see the top is just a little bit, take a little bit more off the top. These are the other pieces that I need to complete the card. I made a black background for the heart shaker when I make it, and I did deboss with that die. It doesn't really show all that much, but it adds just a little bit texture there. I have my letters YOU ready to go, taped with some temporary tape so that it is straight on here. I have the letters YOU also cut out with fun foam that will raise it when I put it back in the Eclipse look. My love is ready to go, and this is the acetate piece for the back of the shaker. Now I'm going to take the medium Cat Scrappiness heart shaker, and I'm also going to cut that right out of the front of the card. So we're going to kind of have that eclipse look, the pattern continuing from the background through the heart and through the letters. And I have my Vagabond off camera right next to me. There's our Y. And our O and our U, and I also need this inside piece. I like to keep a couple of those hearts that are coming out of here. They could be used again, either in the inside of the card or in something else. Okay, I am going to attach this to the back, to the card base. I want to make sure I get some adhesive by the letters. So I'm going to attach the black Fun Foam. This brand has adhesive on the back, which makes it a lot easier to do. I know the Eclipse look has been around for a long time, but it's still one of my favorite things to do with letters. My glue is... So we're going to put the inside while it sits. It will clog a little bit, but of the O back in. Right? Yeah. Put that down. And then we're going to also glue these on. Oop. Gonna get all over my fingers. So there's kind of a little bit of a black shadow on there, which is why I'm sure somebody came up with that name of Eclipse. And then the love is on a piece of easy cut adhesive from Thermoweb, so that it is sticky. It's very, very tiny, so it's easier to attach it when you cut it out with that easy cut adhesive on the back. I am going to make, whoops, look at this. Good thing it's glued, I can move it. Make a shaker. So I have this heart that I cut out, and I am going to put skinny score tape along the edge of here. And attach the acetate heart. Now the acetate heart was cut out with I had a scissors here. There it is. With the die, so it's exactly the same size as the front. So once I put it on, I probably have to trim just a little bit. That may be showing. That looks good. And now we're going to take my favorite Motion Crafts double-sided skinny foam tape strips and create a well with this. Now it will turn a little, but I'm going to break off a piece here. So we'll start it on the bottom here. You don't want any openings, of course. And I'm going to turn it a little bit here. But I don't try to go around the whole top. That's a little bit much to ask. So start here with no break and then turn it to line up with that other piece. And then I am going to take my EK Success powder tool and add a little powder to the sides and the acetate. And I have been using seed beads for all of my shakers, but this is pretty small, so I'm going to use some smaller beads for this. I just have some recollections ones in my stash, and I'm adding red and gold little beads. And then I'm going to take my black heart and try to line it up perfectly, but again I can trim it off a little bit if it shows, and make sure that's sealed. And you see those beads are moving very freely in there. I'm going to trim a little bit off the sides here again that might show with the black. And attach it to the card with some wide score tape. Oops. I hope I don't need those again. I may. And then for the last step, I just decided that I liked having a few little red beads that were this stay in place to accent these hearts on here. So I used my favorite gems from Gina Marie Designs. So we have a shaker heart where the shaker beads move and some gems on top to highlight that heart. Love You in a masculine version with the grays, and I just had great fun playing with all my new hearts and dies and stencils, and I hope the cards I have shared encourage you to give some of these ideas and products a try. Thanks for watching, sharing, and subscribing, and thanks too for helping me share the joy of creativity.